Today we're going to make mashed potatoes. Daniel likes mashed potatoes. He loves them. We enjoy it with our beef tenderloin and things like that. We're going to peel those Yukon Gold potatoes and use a paddle on a mixing machine and get them nice and fluffy and smooth. And we'll get that done and show you different, or talk about different varieties of mashed potatoes that you can use for different dishes. As potatoes are usually different sizes, we need to make sure that they're uniform and all the same size. That way they all cook at the same time. It varies on the size, how you cut them, but as long as the volume is around the same and they're uniform, they'll all cook evenly. This is, after they're peeled, it's about 2 pounds of potatoes. And we're using a half a teaspoon of salt. And these are Yukon potatoes. So when we mash them, they're going to need more cream and butter, more liquid to make them light and fluffy. Then you might add half a teaspoon of salt to the water. It'll help season them and help the water boil at a lower temperature. Salt softens the water. We'll place those on the stove with a lid on. We'll bring them to the boil and cook them at a medium heat. If you overboil potatoes, they can cook too fast and break down and be mushy. For the cream and butter for the Yukon Gold mashed potatoes, we're going to add 3 ounces of butter to a pot and 1.5 cups of heavy cream. And everyone has a personal preference, dry mashed potatoes, wet mashed potatoes. This is what we are adding to those 2 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes. So if you needed more cream later, you could just add that if you wanted to.
We're going to turn it to medium and boil it just before the potatoes are done. The cream has come to a boil, so now we're going to turn it off and take care of the mash of the potatoes.
So our potatoes are ready. You'll know they're ready by, you can just easily press a knife in the potatoes and feel no resistance. Then we're going to strain these off quick and we'll let them steam for a couple of minutes because that surface moisture on the potato needs to go away, or the moisture is going to end up in your mashed potatoes. You can see the surface water on the potatoes. If you just let them air dry for a couple of minutes, that'll get rid of that surface water. Potatoes are dry. We're just going to add them to our mixing bowl now. You know, some people have, my mother's just made mashed potatoes with a fork when I was young and probably still does today. Some people use a hand masher. Some people even use a ricer, which gets them nice and fine, no lumps. Today we're going to show you how, just using a mixing bowl with a paddle. We need to start them on low and let the paddle break up the potatoes before we add any moisture. If you add the moisture too quickly, you will end up with the lumps that are not going to get whipped out. So we need to bring up the bowl. Yep. And we just have them going on slow first, and we'll let them mash the potato before we add our cream and butter. You can tell that the potatoes are mashed. Now we're just going to add 1/3 of our cream and butter on slow. And that'll be the first amount that combines. I'm going to turn it up a speed and let it whip and combine some more. So we've added 1/3 of our cream and butter. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of hot horseradish today. We're making horseradish mashed potatoes. And at this point, it's also good to season. We're going to put a couple of pinches of salt in, a little ground black pepper, and then turn it back on and add another third of our cream and butter. We'll wait for that to combine and then we'll turn it up a couple of speeds. So we've finished whipping the mashed potatoes. It appears, you can tell if it's wet enough by the way it's moving around. I think we're just going to add a tiny bit more cream. Danny will taste it and tell me if we're going to need more salt. Are they good?
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
Tiny pinch of salt. The Yukon Golds, all potatoes vary. We're not going to use all our cream and butter, so if you don't use it all, it can go in the fridge and you can use it for your next batch of mashed potatoes. So we're just going to turn that back on. Tiny bit of pinch of salt, tiny bit of cream and milk. We'll turn it on quick and then we'll be done. So we whipped our mashed potatoes. They're all seasoned great. Danny says it's good. Do you want to taste it again? Are we done?
It's good.
Pretty good. So a lot of people with mashed potatoes, we're doing horseradish today. People will roast garlic, put in caramelized onions, Boursin cheese, goat cheese. Some people put in lobster with their mashed potato, or even truffle oil is great. We're going to do ours with a roasted beef tenderloin, and that'll be in a separate video. But there's the mashed potatoes. The boss says they taste good, so we must be done.